In our little house on the north side of Pittsburgh, we had one television. We placed it behind the couch and I was never allowed to watch it. So most nights it was just my dad, my mom, and me. And maybe some wooden blocks, woohoo, right? But this one day I remember I snuck over to my neighbor's house and she let me watch The Love Boat. And I was obsessed. I can still remember Gavin MacLeod making out with these perfect girls with perms. I loved it. And naturally, when I went home that day, I asked my mom why they kissed in this crazy way. And this was a pretty difficult question for my mom to answer, so finally she just said, when two people love each other like a whole lot, that's the way they kiss. And that night, when she came in to tuck me into bed, I grabbed her face, pulled against mine, and started rubbing my face back and forth saying, I'm giving you love boat kisses. I was obsessed with my mom. The bond between a mother and a child is like none other. Could you ever imagine a world without your mom in it? I can either. And neither can Kate. But also Bring Cheese by Kate Tellers. When I was younger, when my friends would be getting pets, they get 2 guinea pigs and name them Punky Brewster or Sting. I got 2 goldfish and named them Paul and Lisa. After my parents, they were my rock stars. So naturally, it was pretty hard for me to go off to college. But when I did, the day before I left, I had lunch with my mom. And that's when she confessed to me that she was sick. But she said that everything would be fine, that she'd go get some treatment, and she would be okay. And I honestly and truthfully believed her. But I couldn't unhear that. It was like suddenly I had to start picturing a world with this big hole where my mom should be. And I go months and months without thinking about it, and then suddenly something would remind me. We'd just be talking, and then suddenly my mind would split. And a part of me would be completely present. And then the other part of me started to take notes in case I needed them when she wasn't there anymore. After college, I moved to New York, and sometimes on the weekends, I'd come home to visit my mom. And this one time, I remember I came over, I knocked on the door, and she opened it and said, would you like a glass of wine? And I'd say yes. Well, we both knew it wasn't a glass of wine because it never was. She had set out these elaborate plates with these cheeses and salted olives all over them. And we just talk. This one day, I remember, we were talking, and she had just confessed to me that the hardest thing she ever had to do as a mother was give me Epicac to induce vomiting because I had swallowed some of her asthma medicine, and she had seen these little red pills in my mouth. And I had just confessed to her that actually I had eaten Red Hots, but I knew her reaction to me eating the medicine would be way better than me eating refined sugar, so I just let her go with it. And she was laughing, and she threw her head back, and my mind split. And I started to take notes. I noted the way that you could see the cavities in the back of her mouth when she was smiling, or how she'd bring up her turtleneck over her chin and her hand on her sweater. And how her head was so tiny that they had to shop at the children's sections and Lens Crafters. 4 Januaries later, the doctors told her to go home and to start to get comfortable. And I'm standing in her bathroom as she's leaning over her sink, looking at herself in the mirror. And I knew that she had made up her mind. And I knew that this is the day that I've been dreading for the past 10 years. So I call everyone up and say, come over to what will probably be one of the worst nights of your life, but also bring cheese. And they did. And I'm just in the living room passing out all the cheese and handing out the wine, and people start out to go and visit my mom. And I can hear her from in her room as she's laying down on her bed asking if she could get them anything, if they needed a cup of tea. And I'm like, Mom, please let me do this. You're dying. And so I just started handing out these cups and saucers saying, please go take these in there so she knows we're okay out here. And finally, it was my turn to go visit my mom. And I walk inside and she's standing in her closet, reaching up for a sweater. And I say, Mom, what are you doing? And she says, I have to pack. And I didn't know how to answer that. I mean, like, how do you answer to something like that? And so finally, I just said, Mommy, where you're going, I don't think you need a suitcase. And she just nodded and went back to lay in her bed. And I sit down next to her and I start rubbing her calf. And I know that I should say that I love her, or that I'm gonna miss her, or that in 10 years I would throw her the best 85th birthday party out there. And then maybe after that we could just combust in this big fiery ball together so neither of us would have to know what it's like to live without the other. But she knows all that. So I just tell her that in the following November, I'm gonna be in my friend Jess's wedding. So she knows I have plans. That's it. And she laid her head back, and I knew that my mother was gone. So we gathered everyone back in the living room, and we drank all of the wine and we ate all of the cheese. And then they went home and I went to bed. And the next morning I woke up and I went to go make a cup of coffee. And when I get to the front of the coffee machine, I realize I still know how to make a cup of coffee. And I go to look at my email. And there's one from my friend Nick. It says, hey, how are you? And I reply saying, Nick, my mom died. And it's real. And I'm just waiting for this big gut punch to hit me, or just this hole to come and swallow me up of this emptiness. But instead, I feel the strangest thing. The purest thing I have ever felt. I was just sad. And it enveloped me. And that would just have to be okay.